kind of have like three different hats that I'm wearing. I did create the product, so the first thing I had to do was build the product, which is a lot of programming. But I'm mostly an entrepreneur, which means you build a product, but you also try to figure out what people think about it, because just sitting down and creating the product alone is not gonna it's not gonna get me where I wanna go. So Host2Transform is exactly the idea of getting out of the building, right? Because as I said, when I'm creating a product, sometimes I get focused so much on what I need to get done that I don't take the time to talk to people. And especially when I first launched, this was a big thing for me. I wanted to see what people would think. And for me, especially more importantly, is when I tell people about the product, because I'm a technical guy, I'm terrible at this, at explaining the product. When I show them the product, then they're like, oh wow, you know, and so you see more than what they would tell you when you just explain it, and that reaction alone helps. So the Host2Transform session just fits into exactly that. When you get out of, basically we say the building, in this case we're still in the building, but basically get out of whatever I'm doing and talk to people. And I like that reaction when I show them the product, and they're excited about the potential that it offers. And so with Host2Transform, I met a bunch of people that I wouldn't probably go up to and talk to right away, but then you do get feedback from them because you tell them about what you're doing. And there were some, well, Mark Peter is one, but there were some other people who also said that, hey, they could help in one way or another. Feedback is one, that's the easiest one. And then as I said, there was a lady working for the Dutch government, and she said that there were initiatives that she wanted to propose, and so we got talking there. There's some other people who do graphic stuff and they want to help, and so it's feedback is definitely the easiest, but I like the idea that other people are jumping in and saying, hey, how can we help? That, hey, they like the idea so much that they want to contribute in some way. At least that's what it says to me, and it shows that you can help each other out in various different ways. When I started this whole thing, I was alone, right? So I had to build a product, I had to get it out there, try to talk to people, see what they think, and as it grew, it started to become a lot of work, and I started to realize that I'm not going to be able to really get it as big as I want it to be, or that it needs to be on my own. So I need to get help. So I started looking, well, if you're going to get help, you need to pay people, and so that means I need investment. So I started looking around, and then that Host2Transform session, I met Mark Peter, and we got to talking about, okay, he was looking for an app developer for something that they were working on, and I said, well, I'm working on apps, so I can give you some tips or whatever. And I told him about my project, and so that's when he said, oh, we also do investment, and I kind of like this, so let's talk. And so we had one or two more meetings after that, and they all went really well. And so now he and his company have invested some money in the company to help us grow and then take it to the next level. Means now this is why we're a team now of 5 people that are especially trying to solve that marketing problem. And did I transform? Definitely. I never actually really thought about it in that way, but if you do take that broader view, it's definitely that. Because in the beginning it was me, I launched this product on its own, and I tried to reach out to some bloggers, and I was happy that the Volkskrant wrote about it, and I'm trying to tell people, but you are like doing everything on your own. And so thanks to the Host2Transform session, I now was able to spread that wider, because we have Mark Peter doing the investment. Thanks to him, I met some more people that we have in the team, and then I was able to brought in a few more people, because now you have more and more people, so they come together. So that's the transformation right there. You're right in a way that moment sort of kicked it off, because before that I was on my own trying to do a bunch of stuff, and I was talking to people, but there was no gravity, right? Like there was one person, and now we're 5, and I'm probably looking to add some more as I talk to people and things shape up. So I think this was in April somewhere that we had it, but that was definitely the moment that it started to grow bigger. The thing that I find so strange about the Host2Transform session is that I wouldn't have done it on my own. let's say I wouldn't have just gotten up and say, hey, let's try to go to a Host2Transform session. The fact that I was here and you were like, well, guys, we're sitting here, it's only 20 minutes. And so that little push helped me to do it. And I feel like there are a lot of people that are probably out there, they're like, okay, I don't know if it's something for me. It's one of these things that, it's just 20 minutes, and at the end of it, you're almost 99% guaranteed you're gonna be happy that you did it. It's just that initial step is always, for some reason, so hard for us to take. And actually, that's a good example to go to the gym, because what they usually say, even the gym guys or the people recommending the gym, they always say it's the first 5 minutes. So even if you don't feel in the mood to go to the gym or you're not sure, they tell you just do it for 5 minutes. If you don't like it after 5 minutes, you can leave. I would say that's probably true for this as well, because then most of the time you end up going longer anyway, because you end up liking it. And so this is where that would fit in. Yeah. So it's just getting the start. That's usually the hardest part. Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. For Host2Transform?
Yeah. So how was that for you, that experience?
Yes, that was weird. Weird because you don't know what to expect, and I know that I'm here and I love what they're doing with the place, so I feel like you should contribute, and so the Host2Transform session was one of those things. And I did notice that on the days that I'm especially when I'm programming, I tend to be less social, and so for me then I'm like, well, I'm not having the full experience, because then I'm here, but then I don't end up talking to anybody. So the Host2Transform session was kind of a little push to say, okay, let's try and do something social. I don't know if I remember exactly the first time, but I think the one that I met Mark Peter with, which we'll talk about, was the second one. But the first one was definitely like, a bit getting used to, like, okay, what are we doing? And but it does sort of force you to get out of your shell, which is the whole point of everything anyway.
Why would you recommend people to join if they come in and they see us jump and do silly things? What would you tell them if they're kind of skeptical and in their comfort zone?
Right. I would tell them that it's an experience, that it's sort of a thing that you don't know what you're getting into, and that's what makes it a little bit scary, but it's only 20 minutes, and it could be nothing or it could be everything, right? So it's like, why not take the risk for 20 minutes and be a little bit silly? I think this is us in general, but also society. We're always afraid to look silly, and sometimes it's okay. I know I have that problem. You always watch out to like, oh, don't do silly things, and then this is kind of a session where you start out silly and then you start having serious conversation. But because you already did all these crazy things, the conversations are so much easier and so much more fluid, and you're not afraid to talk about like the stuff that you worry about. Because for me as an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, what are the big things that I need to solve? So that sort of helps to free that all up. I mean, from my perspective, it's definitely relevant for startups, because as a startup, you don't know, like, nobody knows what the answers are, right? You're always trying to find the right answer. And so doing something a little bit on the creative side, where that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your core business, helps to stimulate that creativity. So definitely for startups, because you're so much looking for an answer to all the challenges you're facing. And then of course that also means for anybody working in the creative space, this means it's also interesting for them. And I kind of expect that to be easier for them, but then I've also spoken to some graphic designers and stuff that are also especially introverts. So I feel like for introverts it's definitely one of the things that they should do. It's 20 minutes and there's so many people doing it with you that you might as well. What I can tell you is from my own experiences, I did consulting for Accenture, the consulting company. You can edit that out, I don't know if you can. And we used to have similar sessions, right? Where you have a problem, and especially because we used to have very diverse teams, I could definitely see something like this where you help the team to work together. Actually, I remember now, we actually had sessions with similar people doing creative things. So this could definitely fit into that, because it helps the team work together more and understand each other better. And So sharing information is one of the biggest challenges that these teams usually have. So this could definitely work.